Today we're going to be learning about 11.4, how to find the area of a parallelogram. There's a few terms and formulas that you're going to want to know, so go ahead and write this slide down. Let me just give you a little visual about this. This right here is a parallelogram, and when we're talking about the height and the base, I want you to think about a person, okay? If you think about maybe how tall a person is their tallness the height, or is that their base?
Their height.
Okay, that's their height, all right? So we're just kind of trying to figure out how tall this guy is. That would be the height, all right? Then the base, the thing that he's walking on, is down here. That's like his base, okay? But I've got some definitions that'll help us with this right here. The height tells us that it forms a right angle with the base. How can I tell if something is a right angle?
It has a square on the bottom.
All right, it's got this little square right here, okay? That right there is what's going to help me understand whether or not that's a right angle. So the height forms a right angle with the base. So this right here is my height. And then read me what it tells us about the base.
The side of the highest intersects to form a right triangle.
All right, so notice it's right here. It's intersecting it. It's coming to that point right there, okay? So that should hopefully help us a little bit. And then we've learned here, there's a new formula. What does this formula tell us about the area of a parallelogram?
It tells us you multiply the base times the height.
You are correct. Everyone say area equals base times height.
Base times height.
So all you have to do is figure out what the base is and what the height is, and you're going to multiply them together, okay? So let's just imagine that this little teeny tiny person right here, his height is 1.5 inches. All right, he's a cute little tiny guy. Then let's imagine that the base for this whole parallelogram here is 2 inches. So if I was to do that, I would be plugging in my base, which is 2, and multiplying it times my height, which is 1.5. Guys, what's 2 times 1.5?
3.
Okay, so this means 3 inches. Now, whenever it's asking you about the area, it's asking you how much space something is. So I'm trying to figure out how much space this entire parallelogram is right there. That's not just going to be in inches. It's going to be inches squared, okay? So for my area, it's going to be 3 inches squared. Now, it's also asking us to find the perimeter. Does anyone know what the difference is between the area and the perimeter of something? What do you think, Connor?
The area is like, the area is like the outside of it and the perimeter is the inside of it?
Switch that up.
The area is the inside of it and the perimeter is outside of it.
You are correct. This right here, that whole thing that we just covered in, that whole big area, that is the area, okay? But if you were just trying to find the perimeter, all you have to do is basically add up the outside edges of each thing, okay? So there's a formula that we're going to use to find the perimeter. Everyone say 2 times the length
2 times the length
plus 2 times the width.
plus 2 times the width.
And here's what I also want you to see. The sides that are opposite each other have to have the same length. So if this is my base right here, and we said that that was 2 inches, what else has to be 2 inches? Which one is opposite it? Not the height. This part right up there at the very top. Do you know what it's called when you have 2 lines that are going on and on forever like this? Those are parallel lines, okay? Do you guys see any other sets of parallel lines up there?
Yes.
Where are they?
Down the sides.
Going up and down the sides. Those right there are your width, okay? Now, just as a reminder, width and height are 2 very separate things, okay? And we'll talk about that throughout today's lesson too. For our first problem today, it's asking us to simply find the area of the parallelogram. There's one thing that I wrote there in red that I want you to understand. Read to me what it says. When finding the area, your answer will always be units squared, okay? So be careful. This little tiny floating 2 right there tells us it's not just regular units. Because we're trying to find the whole space of the area, it's going to be units squared, okay? So instead of feet, it'll be feet squared. Instead of miles, it'll be miles squared. Instead of inches, it'll be inches squared, okay? Very good job. So let's go ahead and start off with our formula. We've got a brand new formula today. Everyone tell me what the area of a parallelogram formula is. Okay, say it one more time. A equals B times H, all right? We're trying to find the base times the height, and that'll give us the area. What is my base right here?
10 centimeters.
Good job, because it's right here at the bottom of the right angle, so that's going to be my base. So here's where a lot of people messed up on their quiz. You're forgetting to bring down the equal sign. So right now, before I do anything else, please bring down the equal sign. In your notes, I want everyone to do this because this was a simple mistake a lot of people missed on their test. Now bring down your area because that's what I'm trying to find. All right, you just told me the base is 10. What's my height?
6 centimeters.
6. Good job, because we know that the height forms a right angle with the base. All right, so we're going to do it times 6. Guys, what's 10 times 6?
60.
Once again, drop down your equal sign first, bring down your A for area, and 60. Now, what is this? 60 what?
60 centimeters squared.
60 centimeters squared, okay? Thank you for remembering to put that square right there. Now, there's another way that some people like to write it, and they might say 60 square centimeters. How many of you would say you're one that likes to do that? That's totally fine for me, because that means the same exact thing. I do not care whether you have your square right here or over here. However, this is what I've had a lot of people try to do. Area equals 60 square centimeters. If you do that, 60 squared equals 3,600. And that tells me right there, you think the area is 3,600 centimeters, which is not correct. So if you did that, that would definitely be wrong. So please be careful. Never write it that way, but it is okay with me if you write it this way or this way. Okay, but the area for that one, or the space, that means all of this space right here, is 60 square centimeters. Okay, let's do another example. This one, the instructions are slightly different because it's asking us to find the perimeter and the area of the parallelogram. Because it asks us to find the perimeter first, we're going to go ahead and find the perimeter first. So is there anyone who can look at your notes up at the top and tell me what the perimeter formula would be for a parallelogram?
Plus 2W.
Okay, the perimeter equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. The hardest part here is figuring out what the length and the width is, okay? Length is how long something is, width is how wide something is. What's the length here, guys?
7 inches. Wait, no. 9 inches. Wait, width?
What's my length?
Oh, length. 15 inches.
That is how long something is, okay? So, before you do anything else, please drop down your equal sign, drop down your P, because we're trying to find the perimeter. So you told me the length is 15 inches, so we're doing 2 times 15. Now, I've got 2 things left. Do you think that the width is 7 inches or 9 inches?
9.
It is 9 inches, because the width is going to be the outside of our parallelogram. So we're going to also bring it down 2 times 9. Once again, there's nothing to do on the left of the equal sign, so just drop it down. P equals, Hannah, what's 2 times 15? 30. Maddox, what's 2 times times 9? 18. And guys, what is 30 plus 18? 48. Now, we've got to figure out whether it's going to be inches or inches squared. If I'm finding the perimeter, what do you think it is?
Inches.
It's only going to be inches, because remember, there's only one time that we square the units, and that's when we're finding the area, okay? When I think of a perimeter, I think of a fence around something. So once again, it is like adding up all of the sides of the outside right here, okay? What is the opposite over here? That's going to be how long? 15 inches. Okay, do you see the opposite of the 9 is over here? So this would be 9 inches. There is something that we could do here, and you could simply just add up all of the outside area right there, okay? If I was to add up all that outside area, what would I get?
48.
Okay, you would still get 48. As you're doing all that, you would still get 48, because 9 plus 15 plus 9 plus 15 equals 48 inches, and that's the outside or the perimeter of our parallelogram. For this one, we also want to find what the area is, all right? It said find the perimeter and the area. So let's go back to our original formula. What is the formula of the area?
A equals BH.
Okay, area equals base times height. Since we're trying to find the A, I'm dropping down my A and dropping down my equal sign. What's the base?
15 inches.
15 inches, okay? What's the height?
7 inches.
7. How can you figure out that that would be 7?
Because it's
Because
going
it's got the dotted line next to it.
Listen, This is how you can tell right there, that right angle. We know once we found the base that it's down here, we know that the height is always going to form that right angle with the base. And that's how you can figure it out. Guys, what's 15 times 7?
105 squared.
Okay, 105 square inches or inches squared. Once again, I do not care which way you write it, okay? So that's how you find the perimeter and the area. For number 3, we're doing the same idea. We're going to find the perimeter and then the area. The hardest thing is figuring out which one is the base, the height, the length, the width, that kind of stuff, okay? This one looks different than the other ones. Most of the time when we see a parallelogram, it might be twisted the other way. So just imagine it as if it was twisted this way, okay? The main thing you're looking at that's going to give you clues is that right angle right there, okay? So just remember our definitions that we've talked about with the height and the base. First, let's find the perimeter. What's my formula for finding the perimeter? 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, all right? Who thinks they know what the length is for this problem? What do you think?
7.
It is, all right? So right here, this is my length, 7, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do P equals 2 times 7. Does anyone know what the width would be? Micah, what is it? 4.3, okay, good job, because the width is always going to be on the outside of our parallelogram, okay, so we're going to do that plus 2 times 4.3. Carson, what's 2 times 7?
2 times 7 is 14.
14. Jaden, what's 2 times 4.3? 8.6. And Gavin, when we add those two together, what is 14 plus 8.6? 22.6, okay? Now let's try to figure out what our units should be. Do you think it should be centimeters or centimeters squared? What do you think?
Centimeters.
Just plain old centimeters. Why is it not centimeters squared?
Because perimeter.
We are not finding the area, we're just finding the perimeter or the outside. Now, you could have also, just to double check, added 7 plus 4.3 plus 7 plus 4.3. If you added up all the outsides, you're just adding up your perimeter or like your fence around the object, it would still be 22.6 centimeters.
All right.
All right, so for the next part, we're finding the area. What is the formula for area?
A equals base times height.
Area equals base times height. All right, so let's find our base first. Remember, bring down your A, bring down your equal sign. What's my base?
Our base is 4.3.
Okay, I want you to double check. If you look at our definition, it says it's the side that the height intersects to form a right angle. If you think about it, this 4.3 right here, this right here is doing absolutely nothing with that right angle. So we know it's not going to be a 4.3.
Oh, I put the 4.3, so it's 7 times 4.
Instead, you are correct. This down here would be the base. I know it's tricky because the angle, the shape is formed a little differently, but it is still 7 times, and what's my height?
4 centimeters.
Okay, listen, it's right here because if you remember, the height forms a right angle with the base, and this is my right angle, okay? So it's got to be 4. What's 7 times 4?
28.
28. And what are my units?
Centimeters squared.
Centimeters squared. Okay, be careful not to say inches.
Oh.
Always
okay.
look very carefully to see what the units are.
I messed.
For problem number 4, it's asking us to find the unknown base or height of the parallelogram. Once again, if you know how to plug something into a formula, this will be very simple. But when I looked at those tests that you guys just took on Wednesday, there are a lot of people who are still struggling with plugging things into a formula. So let's start off with, as you can see right here, we've got area, base, and height. So do you think I'm finding area or do you think I'm finding perimeter? We're going to use this with area because here it says that's the area. So I'm going to use my formula that has to do with the area. What is the formula we have for area of a parallelogram?
A equals B times 8.
Everyone say it together. Area equals base times height. One more time. Area equals base times height. Very good. That's going to be something that when we have a quiz, not this Monday, but next Monday, you're going to have to memorize a bunch of formulas. So make sure you're kind of reviewing this as we go over them. Bring down, before you do anything else, because this is where people were getting confused, bring down your equal sign first. Now, all we're doing is we are plugging in for the A. Do I know what my A is?
Yes.
What is it?
24 centimeters.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this here for the 24. Do I know what my B is?
6 centimeters.
Okay, so for my B, I'm going to put in 6. Do I know what my H is?
Negative.
No, that's the unknown. Okay, so notice I plugged in 24 for A, plugged in 6 for B. Okay, all it is a plug-in situation. Every single time you try to get your variable or your letter by itself. How do I get H by itself? Divide by 6 on both sides. Just remember, we're always going to be fair. This now cancels out. H equals what, guys?
4 centimeters.
Okay, should I do 4 centimeters squared?
Yeah.
What am I trying to find?
Oh,
Oh,
What does H stand for?
okay.
Height. That is not the area. That is simply the height. I want to figure out how tall something is, okay? So this right here is 4 centimeters. If I was trying to find the area, that means I'm trying to figure out how much space is in this whole area. Then that would be 4 centimeters squared, because it's the whole space. But I am not trying to find the space of something. Instead, I'm trying to find just what the height is. Okay? Any questions about that? All right, I want you to do this next one, problem number 5, on your own. See if you can find this time what the base would be. All right, let's talk this through. Am I finding and working with the formula for area or perimeter? Area, because it says area right here, I know that I'm going to be working with the area. So what's my formula, everyone?
Area equals base times height.
Everyone? Area equals base times height. Everyone, one more time. Area equals base times height, okay? Do I know my area?
Yes.
What is it?
4 centimeters or 4 meters.
4. Drop down your equal sign directly underneath it. What's my base?
Oh, we don't know.
We don't know it. What's my height?
12.
12. How can I get base by itself? Divide by 12. Okay, listen. Lots of people were trying to get rid of the 4. The 4 is already by itself, so you don't need to get rid of it and make it disappear. Instead, you have to get rid of the thing that is here next to your variable. So we divide by 12 on both sides. This will cancel out. And what is my base, guys?
1/3.
1/3 meters. Should it be 1/3 meters squared? No, why not?
because we're trying to find the base.
The base.
We're finding the base, not the area, okay? They already found the area, which is up here. It's 4 meters squared, but the base does not need to be squared. Any questions?
No.
All right, let's go to the next one. This is our final problem today. A treadmill's belt is the shape of a parallelogram. The area is 2,052 inches squared. The height is 18 inches. What is the length of the belt? So since I see here that it's talking about the area, I'm going to go ahead and use the formula that has to do with an area of the parallelogram. Remind me again, what is it? A equals B times H. Okay. Do I know my area?
Yes, it's 2,052 inches.
Okay, drop down your equal sign first, and no, first thing I'm plugging in is my A for area, 2,052. Do I know my base?
Yeah, no.
Not yet. Look, it's giving me right here the height, but it's asking us to find the length. The length is going to be the base, all right? So since that's unknown and we still don't know it, we're just going to keep the B there. And what's the height?
18 inches.
18 inches, all right? All you're trying to do is solve for the variable. I want you to do that on your own. How do I get B by itself?
You divide 18 on both sides.
Divide by 18 on both sides. This cancels out, and my base is
114 inches.
114 inches. Should it be inches squared?
No.
No, because I'm not finding the area. All right, very good. And that's all you need to know about area of a parallelogram.